Hey everybody, Brian Goulet here of GouletPens.com, and I'm sitting next to the one and only larger than life Dan Bishop of Karas Customs Pens, and we are here. Normally, we would not be very close to each other, but he's from Arizona, I'm from Virginia, and we're here at Atlanta here for the pen show. And we thought we would seize the opportunity to be in the same room together to bring you this wonderful video interview. Thank you so much for being here, Dan.
Oh no, thank you.
Dan's a pretty entertaining guy, so I expect this to go well. And we're both having to smell burnt popcorn right now because Rachel thought right before we did this interview it would be a great time to cook some popcorn, and she burned it. And we're all now not eating popcorn and smelling burnt popcorn.
1.5 minutes, not 3 minutes.
And I promised her that I would hassle her about that, so I can check that off my list. Okay. So Dan, tell us a little bit about Karas Customs and how it got its start.
Karas Customs was started by Bill Karas, obviously, hence the name Karas Customs. And he was a machinist, and he started a company, and the name Karas Customs with a K on both is kind of a throwback to 1960s and 50s hot rod culture, culture with a K. You can look it up.
Is that a thing? Like,
it's a thing. It's a
okay.
thing. Yeah, like car customization and things. And so he, being a machinist, was always into cars, and that's kind of how he got into the industry. So he named his company Karas Customs after himself and something else that he was interested in. And he basically made it was a job shop. People would bring him work, and he would make parts to their specifications and everything else. So I was the first employee. He started it in late 2008. And I started in March of 2009.
Okay. So there is no Kara.
No, there is no
Karas
there's no
Customs.
Kara, there's no apostrophe, it's not possessive. It's Bill Karas, so.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. So you've been working with him essentially kind of from the beginning.
More or less, yeah. I mean, he took on a few jobs and things like that, but pretty much from the start, like I actually met him, I think like 2 weeks after he opened.
Oh, wow.
And it was, like I said, it was 2008. I was out of work, like a lot of people were in 2008. And I'm a product designer, so I had some ideas for some things I wanted to make, and some of them involved metalwork, machining, and other things. And so I met him actually at a Christmas party, and then I stopped by his shop a few times, and long story short, he offered me a job, and I was excited to learn about machining and do these other things, plus I needed a job, so kind of worked out.
So I'm not hearing any language about pens coming out of this early story.
No.
So where did the pens come into this?
So I'm a product designer. I've kind of like my brain is always about like making and creating things. It's kind of why I got into the profession. But so as I was learning about machining, you're sitting in front of a machine that can make parts, and you're making parts for other people. And you're standing there loading parts, unloading parts, and my brain was just spinning, saying, what can we make, what can we make? And some of the first things that we made were interesting things. We did like salt and pepper shakers, we made some like hot rod style cars, but none of them particularly did super well. We ended up making iPhone cases, and it kind of took off because this was kind of like a marketing idea, because I didn't know how to do marketing, it was a machine shop. So I designed some iPhone cases. We made some prototypes, and I emailed the editor of the website Cult of Mac, and I kind of gave him a story, hey, I'm a designer, in this little shop in Mesa, Arizona. We made these cool machined iPhone cases, check them out. And he said, oh, that's great. I'll do a little write-up about them. And like in one weekend, suddenly we had sold a couple hundred phone cases, and we were in the business of making our own products.
Okay.
So fast forward, we'd been doing that for, I want to say like a year and a half, and Kickstarter started to gain momentum. And there was a product on Kickstarter, another pen, that was doing surprisingly well.
Yeah, I think I remember this, right?
Yeah, it's called the Pen Type A.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I said, you know what? I'm not in love with the design. So, meanwhile, I was working at the shop, kind of on my own at the house. I went home and basically drew up what is essentially, this pen, the render case. This is the fountain pen version, but I drew it up. I brought it into work, and at the time we were actually had some downtime on the lathes, so we prototyped it. Long story short, we put it on Kickstarter, and from that point forward, we were
Keep going.
rolling. Yeah. So unsure of, exactly what was going to come next. People saying, "Oh, hey, I like the capped pen. What are you going to do?" So we proceeded to make our next model pen, which was the Bolt, and then it just kept going from that point. And eventually we're at the point we are now where we have, I think, 6 different models of pen, and a lot of employees and machinery and things to support that. So it was kind of lucky that I'm like an information nerd and would just kind of go online and look up stuff and learn. And I found out that Kickstarter was a thing, and pretty soon we were using it as a way to launch what is essentially a big business for us.
Now, how big is Karis Kustoms now at this point?
We have, I think, around 11 full-time employees. We have myself, the designer. We have a marketing guy, a warehouse, an inspection guy, a photographer on staff, and then several machinists and shop guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
It's crazy, and it's just kind of nuts to think about it. Like, you go into work and you're like, we make pens, like, and who would have thought? Like, I never in a million years. I mean, I went to design school, and I started out as an art major. I used a lot of pens, pencils, pens, stationery. I mean, whatever. I just draw with it. So I was familiar with the refill that the pen type A used, but I didn't know that there was such a cult following for it. Like, that pen was originally designed just for that one refill. And I mean, you can go on Kickstarter and look, but I think we did around $69,000 goal-wise on Kickstarter.
That's
for that
pretty
one
good.
pen. That's pretty good. That's insane for like a couple of dudes in like a strip, industrial strip in Arizona. We were just kind of every day refreshing like the button and like watching it and just kind of being overwhelmed with, oh man, like all of a sudden you're excited, but then you're like, man, that's a lot of pens to make.
Crap, I gotta make all these now.
You're right. You're like, oh no. And that's the one thing about Kickstarter is you're under scrutiny. People, we tried to give regular updates. We posted videos. People kind of got to see almost how it's made style, like how the product's being made. And it was really cool because the pen community was really, like, they're really supportive. They're really strong and supportive of companies. And if you give them, like you guys know, the more you put out, the more they give back to you. And so it was like perfect. It just was like this perpetual motion machine that just kept going. We couldn't do it without them. Yeah. So it was great. And that's kind of how we got to where we are today. And I've been there 7 years. Wow. And like it feels like I started working there like last year. It's weird.
That's really cool to hear.
It's really cool. Crazy. It's cool.
And we talked before, you and I talked offline about what the physical space is like there. Oh. And you got kind of a cool story about like where these pens are actually made.
So we like old stuff, kind of like the throwback to the name. Old cars, old objects. Now, in Mesa where we live, Arizona's not super old, so there's not like a lot of old buildings like there in other places. But Bill wanted to move the shop, because like I said, we were in a really small space to start with. He wanted to buy a shop, but he wanted to find an old building. So he found a building near downtown that was started in the 1940s. And it's got, it had this really bad 80s remodel. Like the rafters and everything were all covered up with, drop ceilings, and had beige tile, beige walls, beige everything.
Sounds awesome.
No, it's not. So they stripped, like, a lot of the guys that worked at the shop, they worked weekends and everything, and they just stripped everything, down to the rafters. And it looks awesome. You go in there and you have all this history of the building exposed. And like my office, I've got, open rafters from the 1940s, and we bought lights and stuff from back east to kind of turn it back into that look.
That's cool.
Plaster walls and everything else. Like, it's great. I sit at an old steel tanker desk that we bought at Surplus and everything else. So we like old stuff. We like things that are endure, that have kind of a story. Made in the United States. Like it's a big, metal placard that someone like riveted to the side of their desk.
Wow.
That's
cool. And the made in, since you brought up made in the USA, that's a really big theme for you guys, and something you feel really important about. Like, and you try to run throughout your whole product line.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that. Why is it so important? Is that Bill's thing, or is it just kind of something you all feel?
It's kind of both. I mean, like I said, we like old objects. We like things. The pens, if you notice, the K series pens, which originally were the Render K, the screws are slotted. Mm-hmm. They're a slotted screw. So people go, why don't you use this fastener, this fastener? And the idea was, this pen in its form could have been made in World War II. You know, you could have opened a machinist toolbox from, 1945, and that pen is doable with all that the technology that was available at that time. And so we wanted to. That was like the heyday of American machining and manufacturing. Everything was great. Everybody, made in America, cars, like everything. People love it, and so we just want to, show that you can make things in the United States. I mean, you might not become a millionaire, making it, but you'll be able to make products that people like and that will last a long time. And it's because we are a manufacturer. When I was in design school, the joke was, oh, you can just have it made, have it made overseas, have it made in a factory overseas. It's not a big deal. But then when you can give your neighbor a job so he can feed his kids and pay his mortgage and all those things, it's like, wow, this is cool, and people like supporting that. Yeah. And so it's like makes it worthwhile, and it keeps going. Like I said, the pen community love it. So as long as they keep buying pens, I'll keep designing them. So
that's awesome. That's really cool. What was it like on Kickstarter trying to get that funding up? I mean, because it's kind of random, and sometimes it seems like who's successful, and I know Kickstarter takes a cut and all that kind of stuff. You mentioned how you had to kind of stumble upon that just yourself. Mm-hmm. Is there, I mean, at the time, because I'm thinking now, like there's sites that'll tell you how to get stuff Kickstarter funded and all that. Did you really have to just figure it all out?
So when Kickstarter, they've changed a lot of stuff about how they accept projects. Early on, it was like, I don't know how you would describe it. Like you would literally fill out a form, and there was no attachments, whatever. You'd fill out a form, this is what I'm doing, and they would go yes or no. And so this is a great idea. I have this great idea. This pen did $281,000. So hey, I give them the little spiel, rejected.
Like, oh, really? It was rejected.
Like, straight rejected. And I'm like completely crestfallen. Oh crap! Like I just sold Bill on this whole idea that we're gonna make a pen, and they won't even put it on the site. So what we do is we weren't leaking any information because we wanted to get like on it fast, because pretty quick people actually beat us to the punch. There was other people who beat us to Kickstarter after the Pen Type A.
Huh. So
what we did was we had a blog spot like for the shop, and so I threw some photos on there and some text, and then you can like appeal to Kickstarter. So like I appealed it, and they with a link, then they approved it.
Once they actually saw.
Yeah, they're like, oh, okay, this isn't just some random guy. Like, who knows? They might get like 1 million submissions. Like, I'm gonna make a perpetual motion machine, or Greek yogurt. I don't know. Like, gotcha. Whatever they're gonna do. So, so we got on Kickstarter, and then it just became a matter of interacting with people. When you're on Kickstarter, and a lot of people now, like almost everybody knows about Kickstarter. There's been something on Kickstarter that somebody's seen. It's been on the news or something. But at the time, it was still, I'm trying to remember what year it was. It's like 2011, I think. Okay. Kickstarter had been started in 2009, and it hadn't quite rolled to its highest point. So we just interacted with people. Like I storyboarded the video. I was in the video. You can look it up, the Render K video. It's pretty much me like demonstrating how the pen works and doing some voiceover, and my buddy cut it together. It was pretty much just like, let's do it. Yep. And it worked. And so we just kind of kept doing it. I mean, and being a small company, I mean, like you said, Kickstarter takes a cut, the card processor takes a cut, and then you've got shipping, material costs, like all these things. people just see the dollar amount.
Yeah.
They're like, you guys got rich, you know? And we're like, no, we didn't. And we have to make sure we get these done so that everyone doesn't hate us forever.
Right.
So we were very conscious about making sure people knew what was going on. They were aware of what they were getting, and if there were any problems, they would hear about them. We had a huge disaster with the third pen. So some people might have heard about this. I talked about it before, but the retract. So it's a ballpoint pen, and during the polishing process, we had a manual polishing process where it was put into a drill press, and the action of putting it in there to polish it applies pressure on both ends of the pen. Mm-hmm. But what happened is the tip of the pen was slightly deformed, not to like visually you could really see anything, but like talking thousandths of an inch. Well, what it caused to happen is when you use the pen, or tried to, the refill wouldn't protrude.
Oh gosh.
So we were shipping pens out, and somebody, you know, like I think it was me, 'cause it's like I have like the superpower of finding the worst thing in like the batch. Like Bill gets mad at me all the time. So like I pull a pen out and I'm like, oh no. Oh crap. Like, so like I pull another pen out and I'm like, no. And you know, it's like months of work.
Oh my gosh.
And so I run into the office and I just sit down at my computer and I go, what are we gonna do? And I talked to Bill, I'm like, what are we gonna do? And he said, well, we'll just tell him the truth. So what we did is we said, hey, we shipped out some of these, the ones that haven't shipped out, here's the problem, here's how we're gonna fix it, here's a list, put your name on the list. If you get a bad pen, we'll mail you a new pen in a box, ship it back. We just took care of it instantly.
Nice.
Like, and you know, we had to eat a bunch of shipping costs, but we fixed it, and that's something that we feel is important. Like, we could have just bailed, you know, but that's not what you do. You take care of it. So, oh man, that was horrifying. That was like, that was one of the worst things imaginable.
Especially you as a designer, I'm sure you're just.
Oh, like I said, like I like my power is to just like walk into it and there's a bin of stuff and I pick it up and I'm like, it's like the one that's wrong, you know? So.
Well, it's actually not a bad power to have, honestly.
No, because everyone like, why are you such a pessimist all the time? Why are you so negative? No, but Kickstarter, it allows you to get in front of a lot of people, but at the same time, you have to be an open book. And eventually, you know, people began to ask us why we were still on there. Mm-hmm. Why are you still on Kickstarter? You know, you guys, you know, you're rich.
You're established.
You're rich, but like, when you want to buy, you know, so many feet of copper material to machine, you know, that money has to come from somewhere. Like, so, I mean, it's been very slow going, you know? Like I said, originally I was the guy who ran the Kickstarter stuff, I designed it. You know, I was involved in shipping and customer service and phone calls, and then as we grew, we brought more employees in, and it just got, you know, bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So now we have an awesome crew. You know, everybody there is just like on the ball. Our social media stuff is
picking up.
Oh, it's picking up.
It's picking up. I've noticed that.
Like right now, I think on Instagram we're closing in on 16,000,
which is awesome.
Which is, it's weird. Like, nobody knows how that works. It's like magic, you know. It's like like I have this many followers. Like, how?
It's actual people that have chosen to follow you. That's how.
Right. But we have a guy on staff. He's our photographer. His name's Tommy Coppinger, and he runs our Instagram account. So like all the cool photos you see of you know, like Sedona or California, he's going to those places with our pens and taking photos.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's managing all that basically.
Oh yeah. He's it keeps him like super busy.
Gotcha.
So
anybody who's posting on Instagram with Karis Customs, say, hey Tommy.
Yeah. Say hi.
Freak him out.
Say hi to Tommy.
What's going on?
We started a Karis Penco one that's slowly trickling into, and that's run by our customer service guy Paul.
Okay.
Paul Bennett. Yeah.
Paul and Tommy.
Yep. They're the guys, and you know, and if you get your pen, that's Dan Morsky in shipping. So give those guys a shout out because they're doing work still.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I bet you're all doing work.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, like everybody, like the guys in the shop, everybody's just hustling, and we got it. We're a well-oiled machine, so it's
quite literally.
yeah,
yeah. So the design of your pens, it's part of the reason that I thought it was interesting is because there's a big resurgence kind of in this like vintage, stuff right now, this like everyday carry movement and stuff like that. We've talked a little bit about that, but I'd like you to just kind of share what are your thoughts on Karas Kustoms?
Which part do you want to talk about? The vintage part or like the everyday carry guys?
Let's talk about the everyday carry because that's usually what gets talked to most. Is
pocket dumps.
Yeah, exactly.
So the kind of the idea that you carry stuff with you every day, you use it every day. That's kind of the whole, if you're not familiar with the everyday carry. If you're on Instagram, hashtag, everyday carry.
You'll see lots of flashlights and pocket knives and things such as this.
Torches, they're not flashlights.
Torches. Oh, okay.
And knives and other gear, bags and other things. People have started, it's part of that whole minimalist movement that you've seen, where people will have like one really good pair of jeans and they'll have a laptop instead of like a TV and a computer and all these different things. They want to buy something, buy it once, or buy it once every 10 years or something like that. So that was kind of our we were doing that without knowing it.
Right.
So, you buy a pen that's made of solid copper or brass or aluminum and you don't lose it or like completely destroy it, how is it not going to last forever?
Very true.
So,
and I don't know how you would completely destroy it.
Oh, you tried.
I tried with this very pen. I threw it across the parking lot twice, actually, to get that shot for your video.
So true story. He told me he was going to do that, and I said, please don't do that.
He's like, please don't. No, I don't remember quite like that.
Oh, no, I said please.
You were like, if you're going to do it, please have like heavy disclaimers in there,
there was no
about not doing it.
He didn't do that. No, well, the idea is not to purposely abuse things. Like, that's how you keep things nice. Like, my wife gives me a hard time. It's like the whole, we can't have nice things. Because I'm fastidious about keeping things, that's a big word, fastidious, about keeping things nice. Like my phones, I don't drop them, that kind of stuff. But our product, we have some customers that they just love to tell us, they just abuse the stuff like no other. And it's good, but if it doesn't hold up to a machine shop environment, we don't really want to make it. Plus, here's the general design rule. If we don't like it, we won't make it.
It's a generally good rule for manufacturing
products.
products.
Also means that everyone thinks you have good taste. Well, if they buy your product at least.
Yes.
No, but seriously, people respond well to well-made objects. There's a lot of things about this, and our pens in general, that are not found in some competitors' products. I mean, they sure they look a little industrial. They could be a little more refined, but it is what it is for functional sake. It's not overly ornate. It's not anything. I mean, we do have some collaborations and things where people are doing some more things and putting more work into it, which is kind of ironic because that was like the opposite of our original intention. But a well-made, cool object that isn't overly branded is like when you go to a yard sale or a thrift store and you find this just like awesome object. It's just, you pick it up and you're like, this is so cool, and you flip it around, you're trying to figure out who made it. You might not be able to see a maker's mark. That's kind of our thing. Like, we purposely did not brand the pens. People all the time like, why didn't you do this? Because we didn't want to.
Yeah, there's no logo on it or anything. Yeah.
And people are like, you'll never succeed. You'll never. And it's like, well, people like stuff. Like, as I wear a giant fountain pen day shirt.
I was gonna say, I'm wearing a logo shirt myself.
Right. But as a general rule, like, if you buy something and it's just like logo, I won't buy it for that reason, or I'll remove the branding. Because I think it's important to let the object speak for itself. I mean, I like objects as objects, probably why I'm a designer. So if you don't overdo it, people can do whatever they want. I mean, I don't know why they would add a logo, but I mean, you can let the person decide how that object feels to them instead of the branding.
Good explanation. Good explanation. So, you're talking about how you got this everyday carry kind of vibe.
Sure.
But it maybe wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
You kind of fell into it, I guess. It's kind of come up.
Right.
As you guys, I mean, it's not like it came out and you were like, we should make this. for these people. It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So what is kind of your, I guess, marketing strategy? Because you guys have pivoted a little bit. You didn't start out with fountain pens.
No.
You know, you didn't start out with pens really at all. So you guys have shown you're pretty adaptive.
Right.
So what's been your kind of strategy over the last, 3 to 5 years as you've really started to get on the map?
I would say the most important thing is and this is part of the way my brain works. You find, if you have a product, you try to figure out, like, kind of empathetically who might enjoy using it. And so Instagram was really, I'm pretty sure, has really been helpful in people finding us, and Kickstarter, because Kickstarter kind of became like a marketing tool, and people were looking there for machine pens and things like that. But as far as marketing goes, I mean, it was literally just, hey, these people might think it's cool. This blogger talks about things that are similar. Email them, call them. I called you.
Yep.
Yeah, like when the ink, our first fountain pen was on Kickstarter, I made a phone call and I talked to you about fountain pens even before it launched, I think. Asking about nibs and things.
Actually, you did it very respectfully. If I remember correctly, it was before you had launched it.
Yeah.
Or like right around when you wanted to put a link in the Kickstarter.
Right.
To my site.
Right.
To talk about ink and stuff like that.
Yeah, he has
you don't
Fountain
deal
Pen
with that.
101.
Exactly. There you go.
If you don't
Plugging
know.
me a little bit there, yes. Absolutely. I thought that was very respectful of you to do that.
Well, and the reason, and that's the other thing too, is I think it's important to not, to kind of pay homage, kind of to the Don, but you put all this work and time and effort into doing something. You are involved in the community. I'm coming into the community as somebody who already manufactures pens, but not fountain pens. So I was terrified as a designer, because this was like, I had done pretty well up to this point, like pretty successful pens. And then it's like, I'm doing a fountain pen, that's a whole other thing. So I was like, doing research, and what do you find? Fountain Pen 101. You're there doing your videos, and I'm like, you know what? Like, I know we're going to be pulling people from our existing customer base into fountain pens, and there's going to be a lot of questions. So we just said, hey, this guy already has explained everything better than we can. So I'm going to call him and ask him if I can just point, and I think we even pointed people by ink from you.
You did. You specifically did.
I was horrified that people are going to be like buying India ink and this thing's a piece of junk,
People have done that, yeah.
Throwing it out the window.
Yeah.
And they're on the internet. Those Curious Custom guys are a bunch of chumps. I bought this pen and it's terrible, I don't know why they have that accent.
That is. And they type with their keyboards at their face too.
That's
what happens.
My chair's too short and I hate those guys at Curious Customs. No, and like I said, I'm an information guy. So if there's information and I want to learn about it, especially if it's easy to find, well, guess what? Fountain Pen 101, and it's laid out, and like all the work that you guys put into the videos and all that stuff. And so I was like, if I can give you guys a boost, and it, to be honest, it makes us, it helps our customers. So our customers are going to be able to learn and benefit from your knowledge and your experience and like all the effort and time you put into, stocking products and informing people about all that stuff. So it was a no-brainer.
That's great.
So, I mean, it's awesome. Like I said, the pen community is great.
It is. I completely agree. And it's interesting, with you guys starting out with roller balls and then getting into fountain pens. I had a similar experience when starting with Goulet pens, because back in the day, for those who followed me for a while, I started out manufacturing pens, wooden pens.
On your balcony,
I'm more of a
right?
woodworker. On my balcony, absolutely. Very similar kind of grassroots
videos.
story. I know, you know your Goulet history here. But yeah, it was the same kind of thing. I was really big into roller balls. I'd made about 900 handmade rollerball pens.
Wow.
And I tried to get into the fountain pen community too, at a pen show. Actually, it was in DC in 2009, and I was not able to pivot. I got into the fountain pens because of making them out of wood. They're excuse me, they're not structurally sound to be able to make them. So you had to have metal components, and it made it to be where I couldn't do the pens the way that I wanted to. Right. And I would have had to change a lot too much of the design of the pen to be the way fountain pen people wanted it. And that part of my business essentially died. That's why I went into the retailing paper and ink, which turned into pens and so on. And thus you have the way I am today. So I very much resonate with exactly what you're saying of like that risk of you're trying to get into fountain pens, but you don't know what you're getting into really.
Oh yeah, and that's the one thing about Kickstarter that made the transition into pens in general, but also fountain pens. Because we just have this idea. I mean, I'm full of all kinds of crazy ideas. So you have this idea, and you take it, you prototype it, make a video and do the stuff, and you throw it up on there, and you go, and then sometimes nothing happens. We had a couple failed Kickstarters that were phone related.
I would love to hear about your failed Kickstarters. I really would.
Let's talk about my failures.
Let's talk about your biggest failures. What are your most vulnerable moments? Let's rehash all of your worst fears and dreams.
So what we did is after we launched, because we were making phone cases as I said before, and after we launched the Render K, we were going to try to push the phone casing, because there had been some Apple products on there that had done really well, and we were already in that market. So we tried to do like a different finish, like a powder coated finish and some other stuff on some of our existing cases. It didn't go so hot. So that was a failed Kickstarter attempt, and it shows up. Like if you look on Kickstarter, if you click on like projects, it'll say failed, or
does it literally say failed?
It says losers laugh at these guys. No, it says funding unsuccessful. And you can go watch the videos and everything else too, but surprisingly enough, Kickstarter is sensitive to that kind of stuff if you're overly sensitive about it. And the stuff doesn't really show up in searches. They want to encourage people to see successful items, not point and laugh.
Well, that makes sense. Do they kick you off if you have like 20 failed projects?
I don't know. Typically, somebody usually either they stop doing it or something hits.
What if you're just really persistent but terrible at what you do?
I don't know.
That's curious. I'm glad you're not able to.
Somebody comment below
if you've done 20 failed Kickstarters, we would love to hear about your story.
No,
maybe it can be 21. We'll give you your platform to fail another time.
No, but it's one of those things where it does take, it took effort to design products and to shoot a video and to do all these things. And there's a material cost there. So it's not just like free, money. But we did another, I'm laughing because the name of the product, we love retro stuff, right? So it was an iPhone dock called the Projectone. So Projectone, it was like an acoustic dock, and I made this really cool retro logo and all this stuff, and it looks like Project One. So we launched that, and it didn't fund either. Okay. And I still have a bunch of them in the box in the warehouse. So go buy a Projectone for your iPhone 5 and 5S, and upcoming iPhone SE.
How much is it? I'm curious.
I don't remember how much it cost.
You're giving them away at this point. Buy one, get 4 free.
There's a sticker on the bottom. I'm scratching it out. No, but it was just because there'd been a dock on there that did crazy money. And at this time, we were still kind of chasing markets that were growing. You talk about marketing. So say if people are spending money here and we're already in this market, let's try to kind of, go with where people seem to want to spend their money. And they didn't want to spend their money there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's hit or miss, and I'm not ashamed of failing. It just meant that it made me know that these products are better for us to make, and these are less, less successful. I mean, I probably sold, I've sold some 5, 10.
Okay.
But I think it's important to realize that there's no magic formula, because it very easily could have gone the other way. We could have tried to market to people and they just were wrong time, wrong month. You post something on Instagram the wrong time of day, Kanye posts something that's way more entertaining and you're out of luck.
Yeah.
So
chances are you will.
Yeah, the Kardashians break the internet all the time, so what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Get them one of your pens, then you'd be good shape.
Oh, that'd be a bad idea.
Not quite the same vibe, huh?
No.
Probably. Yeah. Well, so what's different about the pen community then? I'm curious. We'll riff a little bit here. You know, talking about Kickstarters, you've had many successful, well, maybe not Kickstarters, all of them, but, you know, since you've been getting into pens,
right,
it's been like success, 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 success.
The pen community and any community that has a lot of active members and people who like products, they have forums, they have things. And like I said, I'm an information guy. I would get online and I would look at what people liked and what they, you know, were interested in, and customer feedback. We'd get emails. Hey, do you guys consider making this kind of pen, this pen? When are you gonna do a fountain pen? When are you gonna do a fountain pen or click pen or whatever it was? And so we ended up just, you know, I would take all that kind of internally and just distill it down and throw some stuff on paper, you know? And when I had something that I thought was kind of cool, if I, you know, later on, I was to the point where I was out of the shop. We had guys working in the shop, and I was kind of like, I had the freedom to suddenly, you know, go into 3D modeling and draw something up. And if I thought it was cool enough, I would create blueprints or just a 3D model, and I'd show it to, you know, Bill or, you know, some of the people in the pen community. What do you think of this? And they say, oh, that's neat, or that's weird, or whatever. Because I mean, not everything's going to be a home run. I've been very fortunate that nothing's been like a total just dud.
Right.
And that's kind of scary because like you're just like, I'm on a roll, and then
I'm invincible. Yeah. Everything I make is going to sell.
And then I look at my Kickstarters.
That's right. Keeps you humble. You look at those project ones
the
that you have laying around
that are all like weighing heavy on my shoulders.
Keeps you humble,
in
right?
In the warehouse,
Keeps
yeah.
you humble.
The box that just says Dan's fault.
Yeah. So, exactly.
Oh man.
So you've got these, you know, Kickstarters under your belt. Okay, some good, some bad, but you've really hit on something well.
Right.
You know, now you're expanding. You're not just selling direct. Now you have retailers like me at GouletPens.com.
See Karis Customs pens at Goulet Pens.
Yeah, get yours today. Had to do the plug. Had to do the plug there.
Need some lens flare.
But you know, it's a relatively new thing that you've been doing. You know,
right.
You got a several-year history, but it's only in the last, I don't know, how long have you had actual, you know, retailers? How long have you been hosting
like
retailers?
Not much longer than we've been with you guys, because
like 6 months maybe at the most.
And this was, like I said, this is a whole other struggle for American companies. If you make something in the United States, you have to figure out a way to make it, to pay yourself to make it, and to make money selling it, and make it worthwhile to continue. So Kickstarter kind of gives you a cheat a little bit, because you know if people like it, and if you know if they like it, then you can justify, you know, putting money that you could eventually be payroll or rent into materials and making product. So as like I said, when you're like an American company and you're trying to make product, you have to figure out a way to compete with products that are being made in less expensive markets. So I mean, there's some cases where, I mean, there was regular job shop jobs that we would bid that we couldn't even buy material for what they were getting finished parts for.
Yeah.
So retailers, like, you have to get to a point where you can make product and then sell it and have room for people to also sell it, because I mean, it's just a matter of economics.
Yeah.
And we ran into that early on with the phone cases where, you know, we were trying to, you know, get them out to the public, and we just didn't have a lot of success with wholesalers because there wasn't a lot of extra money in there.
Right.
And you know, we're not making anybody, including ourselves, rich, but I think it's important to reach to markets, like you said about marketing, that we have, you know, no reach into. I mean, having Goulet Pens and, you know, other retailers be willing to take a risk financially, to make videos, to stock product, you know, gives you a sense of, you know, gives you credibility. You know, it shows that they believe in your product enough to invest in it, not only in time but in money.
Yeah.
And so we finally got to the point where our production levels were high enough that we could produce pens at a volume that we could actually supply people. Because for a long time, you know, we had short staff and, you know, just a few machines, and our primary concern was just running a business and being a business. So we're finally to the point now where we're able to, you know, through, you know, purchasing specialized machines and perfecting production methods, and we're still not 100% up to snuff on being able to keep up with customer demand, which is a great problem to have.
That is.
It's still terrifying.
It's still a problem.
It's
yeah.
almost like the Kickstarter project, oh no, I have all these pens to make.
Yep.
But no, working with retailers is good because it allows us to kind of share our love of our product and let other people experience it through their favorite retailer. Because I mean, we could have just never done that.
Absolutely.
And but the fact that you guys and other retailers are willing to put your faith in us, because you didn't know how it was going to go. I mean, you guys put it in order. Yeah, it's
true. Yeah. I mean, well, we knew.
Crystal ball.
Right. But no, it's true.
Should we carry Kara's Customs pens?
It's true.
Try again later.
Right, right.
Well, and that's kind of how it went, because I think we had a conversation about, when we weren't up to production levels, about eventually, sending you some samples and maybe you guys selling our product.
Sure.
So.
And that conversation was a year and a half ago, something like that. So it was a while.
And so, you're like always like trying to get to that point, and you never know what's going to happen. I mean,
it's true.
So having retailers is great, and it's also like terrifying at the same time.
Sure.
But it's been great, and I've had in the past week, I had 2 people show up at the shop. We have a small storefront in the shop, and I always ask them, "Where did you hear about us?" And they said, "Goulets. Like I saw it on Goulet pens, and I saw that you guys were local, so I came down." And so, sadly, we got those sales. Sorry.
Hey, that's all right.
But
that's how it works.
It was just kind of neat, like to show that people they pay attention, and that what you're doing is good. If somebody is seeing your video and then coming and talking to us, and vice versa, and I don't know, it's great. Like I feel like I'm just talking about the same points over and over about it, but it's something that I kind of felt like I knew I would make it when somebody would, in the pen community that was established and well known, would like readily endorse my product. And I say it's because I'm the designer, of course. I mean, there's a lot of hard work from everybody in the shop going into it, but it kind of feels a little bit like, my brain on paper to the shop, and like you just kind of like, you take your kid out the first day of school, you try not to cry, you're like, you'll be fine. But it's, I don't know, it's exciting and nerve-wracking and everything else, but like you said, we moved past the point where we haven't used Kickstarter on past several pens.
Yeah.
And it was just more because it gave us a little more control.
Yeah.
So it's nice.
So is that something you're hoping to continue to do, or are you of like pumping on, like you want to expand and continue to grow?
Yeah, I mean, right now like I said, we're focusing on making sure we have product in stock. There's nothing more frustrating than like, hey, we make these cool pens. Oh, do you have any in stock? No.
Right.
But so people.
But everybody wants them. We don't have any though. But
right.
But they're really
fantastic. You should buy them. I don't have any.
Yeah.
And then this thing is, because the way manufacturing works, at least the way we do it, is everything's made in batches. Like we don't just like, bring, like a pen just shows up.
Of course, yeah.
We make this part and then this part and this part, and then those parts have to be inspected, maybe set up to anodize, polished, like all these different steps happen. And so for one pen, the pen, he's holding in his hand, like that cap has 3 machining operations on it. The body has 2 on it. The section has 2 on it. The clip has to be made. It has to be inspected, anodized, assembled, inspected again. Like all these things have to happen, and it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So now that you're doing like ballpoint, you got roller balls and fountain pens, what, I guess, not exact numbers, what proportion, of those are you making and selling and stuff like that?
I don't know. It kind of goes in waves. I mean, and here's something that's interesting. Social media marketing, all those things, they tie heavily into, what's the latest, greatest thing. When social media, somebody like, hey, look at this cool pen that I have. Like you guys interviewed Kara from Boho Berry.
We did.
And you guys did the custom set with her, the notebook and ink and then the pen. Certain things will surge or go back and forth. And so it's hard to say. And in the past, we've had products that were out of stock for a while because we didn't have time to make them. And so, of course, you're not selling a lot of something you don't have. So I would say there's enough people, at least in the United States, I don't know about other markets, they're not familiar with fountain pens as much as, because how many times have you pulled out a fountain pen and people were like, what is that?
I literally, I'm not joking, on the flight over here, we were in the security line and one of the TSA agents was asking where we were going.
Right.
And I was like, well, we're going to a fountain pen show. And I knew as soon as I said it, oh crap, I'm gonna have to explain this whole thing. She's like, what, fountain pen? And I was like, yeah, fountain pen. And I tried to explain, she's like, fountain? Like a fountain? Trying to visualize, does the pen in the middle of the fountain?
I don't know what a fountain
visualizing
is.
A water fountain with a pen in the middle. And I was like, no.
You could put strawberries
I was like,
in
it's
it?
way off. I even pulled out a pen and I was like, this is a fountain pen, you fill it with the ink. And she was like, what? She just could not understand.
Or the other side of it is, if it's public domain, you have to insert it. Like an old cartoon, the black and white ones where everyone's kind of doing this. And there's a fountain pen and the guy lifts the lever and it squirts him in the face. That's what I didn't even know fountain pens were a thing. So we started making pens, no lie. I knew about dip pens and things like that, but I didn't know fountain pens were something.
You mean the thing with the feather on it? Yeah, sure, yeah.
John Hancock, wax my mustache. I don't even know if John Hancock had a mustache.
I don't think he did.
Maybe he had a beard.
He did. A wig?
A wig.
Sure he had a wig.
Powdered and everything.
Powdered mustache.
But he, so I didn't know fountain pens were a thing. I knew that they existed at one time, but I didn't know they were you could go and buy a new one.
Right.
Germany and all these other countries where everyone's still using them, and in America we're no ballpoints. Woo,
Yeah, exactly.
$10.
Give me them crappy things that I can throw away after 2 times
Right.
using. Yeah.
This don't work. Over and over again.
Yeah.
The paper's curling because you can't get it to start. No. But I didn't know fountain pens were a thing, so I had to learn about them. Fountain pen 101.
There you go.
So it just knowing that they exist, I think, it's a problem with the general population in the U.S. So we sell a lot of roller balls and ballpoints, and that's the other thing that our pens are a little bit different. Is our pens utilize popular refills. Mm-hmm. Like I said, the first pen we did was for the High-Tech C, but then I also wanted it to work with a ballpoint compatible refill, or other non-name name brand space pen. I don't know. We get paid sponsored for this episode, but no. So a lot of my pens that I've designed take multiple refills. So the idea being that you can't find this the High-Tech C is a Japanese imported refill that you can get in certain sites. It's somewhat difficult to find. Or you can put a Parker ballpoint in it if you like the pen, or you hate this one, or you can't find it, or whatever. So our versatility, we didn't know what people were using in our pens. It was a huge problem, and I think so. The new version we changed it a little bit so it's more universal. But we started making different versions of the pens to accommodate different refills because people were like, "Hey, I don't like that refill. I like this refill." So it's hard to say what our most popular thing is because of us making them and people using different things, but you can just kind of go off, at some point sales numbers and people emailing and whatever else. So I don't know.
So it's interesting that you.
It's okay to not know something.
Yes, we'll go with that. So you get direct feedback from customers. What are some of the more interesting pieces of feedback? Because I'm sure being the designer as well, you get lots of ideas about how to improve the design of your product, right? So what are some of the more interesting ones?
So everything from, expletive-laced emails to people sending drawings, notes and drawings and little packages and all kinds of stuff. So we generally try to work out the bugs, and that was another thing with Kickstarter too. Is there was people who get on Kickstarter because the idea is I have a finished idea, I can't get it to market, so I'm going to use Kickstarter. Well, some people would say I have a general idea, and then people would start throwing out suggestions and it would kind of morph. Well, we were already like in the hard prototype stage.
Yeah.
Like I had a finished product. And so, making improvements and these things like that generally wasn't, something that we did or encouraged. But with our pens, sometimes customers, if there was a problem that was long-term that we didn't know about, like, this part coming loose or this part, this or this, like we would look at those over long term, and sometimes it was just somebody, really, really overusing something or being overzealous. But we try to listen to people whenever we can. And if there's a problem or a suggestion that's a really good idea, we'll implement it. But there's, you name it, all kinds of crazy stuff. And I don't want to discourage people from, giving suggestions, but sometimes you can't always do everything because everybody has something that they like,
Sure.
Not everybody loves Brussels sprouts.
Not everybody loves Brussels sprouts.
No.
But they should.
They're delicious.
Because they're delicious. So let's talk about warranties, because as a manufacturer, you have warranties to deal with. And that's something that a lot of overseas, manufacturers usually have a distributor in the U.S. to be able to deal with that. But you guys deal with it directly. So what's your approach towards warranties?
If we messed it up, we fix it. If you mess it up, sometimes we'll fix it. No, basically it's the products are hopefully well made enough and robust enough that you're not going to have any issues. But if you have a problem of any kind, yours or ours, feel free to reach out to us. And at the very least, we can offer you, if we're not going to offer a replacement, we can give you, parts at a discounted cost, or it's almost on a case-by-case basis, but we generally will try to do everything we can to make a customer happy.
It's a good approach.
So, yeah.
Good approach. So we talked about a lot of different types of pens. You've designed a lot of them. You talked about them being like your children. So I'm going to make you pick your favorite child now, which is like rule number one.
I love
you're never
them
supposed
all
to do.
equally.
Yeah, I don't believe that. So I want you to pick one. Like of all the pens you designed, all the colors, all the combinations, do you have like one for you that's like, yeah, this is my carry around pen. This is one I love the most?
Carry around versus use is different. So the first pen that I designed, kind of that rolled us all into this, which is now the K series, which is the Fountain K and Render K. That pen to me, it's just kind of like what people see that they immediately know it's us, and I love it. But I mean, I don't always want to use a capped pen like at my desk or something, which with fountain pens is kind of hard not to do. But one of our clicky pens, the EDK, is kind of what I use on a day-to-day basis. So, and sometimes I'll just get tired of it and I'll switch it up a little bit, but pretty much I think I keep going back to the first pen I designed. But sometimes we'll get a batch of anodized back or something that'll come back and it'll just like be an awesome color, and I'm just like, this is going personal museum, I have examples of pretty much everything that we've made. We've made some weird materials and different things, but I don't know, like I like objects. So at any given time I have got something weird. Sometimes I'll cobble parts together and make something bizarre. So, but right now I use the EDK every day, and then I really like the K series pens, basically.
Yeah, most significant probably to you.
Yeah, it's probably a bit emotional, so.
Sure.
But yeah.
Do you have a lot of prototypes laying around? Like, I saw just downstairs when we were at the show, I saw some things you were trying out, and you were like, yeah, we made like 4 of these. And,
oh yeah, I mean, we have prototypes, not too many like actually like made it past the stage. Like if we did make a few of them, we tried to sell them. So we made some different materials, like we made the Render Ks in Delrin, which is an aerospace plastic. We made them in black and white, and those are really low production. And we did some other pens and stuff that were really low production. But as far as prototypes go, I don't have anything right now, except if you look on the Keras Kustoms Instagram, there's something new coming up. That was kind of in the works for a while. We made prototypes originally, like when we made the first Render Ks, and we've just now figured out a way to make them work with the new engineering. So I guess that would be something.
You can say what it is. It's on Instagram.
Oh,
it's not a secret.
No, I just want people to go look.
I see.
No,
okay, you can leave it as a tease.
So we're basically using a material called it's phenolic. One of the trade names is micarta. It's a plastic that is old, like kind of like Bakelite old, that has a thermoset plastic that has linen fibers in it for strength. It's traditionally used for things like its dielectric properties, for like insulating electricity, but it's really interesting and it looks like wood, kind of.
Yes.
And so it machines pretty well, and we are gonna make some pens out of it. I mean, I would have had one with me today, but they were making them like as we got on the plane. So it's something cool. We're gonna start teasing those and have those online. I don't know what kind of numbers we're gonna do with those. We might, some stuff, if we're not thrilled with it, we might not ever do it again, but I'm never gonna say never, so.
Very cool.
But yeah, I have some of those floating around my desk at work.
Nice. All right, well, thanks, Dan. This has been really cool.
Yeah, it's been fun.
It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate you taking time for me today and for the rest of your team that's been down manning the booth as you've been sitting up here and we've been goofing off.
Right.
So as we wrap up here, where can people find your products and how can they follow you and know what you're up to?
They can find us almost anywhere associated with Karis Kustoms. You know, the standard Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, our website, kariskustoms.com. Also, Karis Pen Co. on Instagram and some other things. We're moving towards some of that branding, just so that it's pens, so it's very specific in that.
Cool. And you can also find it at gouletpens.com.
Gouletpens.com.
Check it out. Thanks, Dan. It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate it. If you are interested in following his stuff, obviously go check it out. I'd also like to hear what you have to say about this very interview. It's kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that we have.
Right.
Dan's, kind of spicy and it's been kind of interesting here.
Spicy.
Kind of spicy, I don't know.
He's like queso.
Yeah. Like a mild queso, maybe. But I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. So go ahead and leave some comments on YouTube or on the blog. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, you totally should, because you're going to have more sweet videos like this one.
Right.
And you should go check out all of our respective websites and social media. Just block off your whole weekend, because there's kind of a lot to check out. So
yeah, get some popcorn.
There you go.
Don't burn it.
Don't burn it. If you do, you should put it outside of the hotel room.
The maids will pick it up.
And the maids will pick it up, because that's literally what happened as we've been interviewing here.
There's a bag of popcorn in the hallway. Can you take care of that?
Somebody else at the other hotel room was probably like, I'm smelling popcorn and I don't know where it's coming from.
They Scooby-Dooed it. Like.
Exactly. All right, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much, Dan. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
Yes, enjoy the rest of the show. Thanks, everybody, and right on.